In Game 3, the Indiana Pacers ball pressure completely wore down SGA, where down the stretch he simply didn't have the legs to get to his spots and generate his usual offense. So the adjustment in Game 4 was to take the ball out of his hands and let Jalen Williams be the primary ball handler. And this game was a perfect demonstration of just how good J-Dub is as a second option. Now throughout this series, I think the Pacers' full court pressure has actually exposed the lack of ball handling that OKC has. Besides their two top guys, they don't really have anybody else who can consistently break down the defense off the dribble while also being a reliable scorer and playmaker. Ideally, Cason Wallace and Aaron Wiggins were supposed to be those guys, but it hasn't really been there over the last two games. And even SGA himself has shown some vulnerabilities to the full court pressure. While Shai is one of the most skilled players across the league, he's also not the most explosive athlete. When the Pacers have extended out to meet him, he hasn't had the burst to generate clean blow-bys. And I'm not sure if this is due to Shai being fatigued or the Pacers just playing elite defense in the backcourt, but lots of Shai's offense has been him methodically bumping and working to spots to then settle for long contested twos. Look how Nembhard here is stepping up and meeting him out 40 feet from the basket. And as Shai refuses this screen by ripping to his right, Andrew has no problem heading off this drive to then keep his body in front, and this forces OKC into standstill offense. And then if the Thunder aren't getting rim pressure and the ball is stagnant, this then gives the Pacers a license to double and jump in passing lanes.
Alexander again, double team, and a turnover.
And Shai's lack of explosiveness also bleeds over to his rim finishing. If he was able to beat the first line defense, he then had a hard time elevating through traffic in the paint. And this led to Shai either grifting for foul calls or stopping and settling for more long twos.
Gets away.
So in order to counter Indiana's full court pressure, OKC needs a guy that has the handle and quickness to beat the man pressuring the ball, plus the explosiveness and length to finish through traffic. And that's where Jalen Williams comes in. First, with the ball, J-Dub had his foot on the gas and was looking to attack the full court pressure. And once he got into the deep paint, he was elevating with the intent to score. This is after a missed shot. And look how Jalen is going to push the ball and get Mathurin on his heels to then get in the lane and scrap this and one.
Williams misses that. Gets his own miss, goes right back up and backs.
Notice again how he's bringing the ball up with pace. And as the screen gets set, he's going to hit the turbo button and get Toppin on his hip, where he can then initiate contact and draw the foul. And that early driving threat also pulled Indiana deep into early help. Look how Pascal Siakam here is treating up towards half court. So J-Dub can just advance the ball to Chet, who can then draw the foul in early offense. This is another good pass early in the shot clock, where Williams turns the corner off the screen and he pulls the weak side defense down, opening up the skip pass to Caruso for the open three. And when attacking in the half court, Jalen's blend of ball control, strength, and length makes him really tough to deal with. Once he gets the defense on his hip, he has elite control. Look how he's going to hesitate off the screen to then take one aggressive dribble downhill, and he's going to initiate contact with that inside shoulder to then decelerate off his left foot and pop up for a vertical finish. While playing downhill, Williams also uses his length very effectively, where he's comfortable gathering and extending the ball with either hand. This move and finish here is tough, where J-Dub is going to hit this between cross and skate out to his left, setting up this push cross back to his right. And from here, he's going to take one dribble and elevate off his ball side foot to sneak up this finish. And that individual scoring also carried over to the second half. He's going to come off the screen and put the defense on his back. But as Nesmith tries to fight to get back in front, Jalen's going to stop and wrap the ball back to his left, to then again take one dribble and extend the scoop finish. Now throughout this game, Jalen had his fair share of turnovers and missed shots. But the important thing was he took a bunch of weight off SGA's shoulders. And throughout this game, his offensive production allowed OKC to stay afloat, while the MVP could literally take plays off.
Jalen Williams charging down the lane, won't
And when the Thunder needed Shai to generate offense, he had the legs to carry them in big stretches. At the end of the first quarter and start of the second, he was able to hit that flow state and string together really good possessions. And if Shai has his legs underneath him, he's obviously one of the toughest covers in the NBA, where he can overwhelm you with that pace and tough shot making. And while Shai had issues punishing that full court pressure, he's still probably the best player in the league at attacking in isolation. And when push comes to shove, he's pretty much always going to generate some type of look. And that one-on-one scoring is what actually won the game for OKC down the stretch. For as good as the Pacers offense is, they simply don't have the top-tier shot creation that OKC has. And they were able to attack matchups down the stretch and consistently get quality looks. One of their go-to sets in the second half was a simple two-man game between J-Dub and Shai. And because Indiana wanted to keep the matchup with Nembhard on SGA, this led to a bunch of breakdowns. Shai here is going to come up and set this ghost screen. And that's enough by itself to lift Nesmith out of his stance, giving J-Dub this driving angle to his left. And also, look how he's going to gather the ball from behind the free throw line and stride past Toppin and help. Now on this play, Jalen is working down the clock, and I think Shai is initially coming up to set the screen, but because J-Dub likes this matchup, Shai is going to instead space out and give him room to work. And then when Indiana decided to switch these screens, Shai was then having his way with Nesmith. I thought Aaron generally played good one-on-one defense, but he got caught multiple times being handsy and putting Shai on the free throw line. And regardless of what people are saying, plays like this are fouls on paper. And I thought Indiana throughout the game did a great job of being disciplined and keeping Shai off the free throw line. But just a few undisciplined possessions pretty much spoon-fed OKC easy points. However, this was one play that I didn't like, where Shai drives baseline, and he clearly uses that forearm to push off and create space. And typically for me, this is a clear no call. But if you're gonna call those other touch fouls while Shai's picking up into a shot, this play for sure warrants an offensive foul. But outside of that, I still think SGA deserves a ton of credit for how he finished the game. Regardless of his struggles in the first 3 quarters, the Thunder could rely on him for consistent offense. This was the biggest shot of the entire game, where the Thunder again get the switch from that J-Dub and Shai two-man game, but as Nembhard slides down to provide extra help, Shai's going to spray it out to then relocate and can this open 3. So while this was a disappointing loss for the Pacers, I still think they're a live dog in the series. They've outplayed OKC for a majority of the last 2 games, and they've already shown that they can beat them on the road. I think the big question for Indiana going forward is how do you crack this OKC defense once the game winds down? The Thunder have shown that they have at least a couple of go-to sets that they can use to generate decent looks, but the Pacers don't have that yet. I think the combination of the Thunder's all-time great defense, plus the top-tier shot creation of Shai and J-Dub, will most likely be enough to win 2 out of the next 3 games. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe, and let me know in the comments who the kids should break down next. The kids here.